whatever we discussed till now, it's just reading a data. Like we used the PySpark. Um, so we used the PySpark to read data. We will see again many scenarios. At the end of the day, every code, every line is something we will use PySpark only. So
Okay.
it definitely you will see a lot of coding every day. But before that, you need to understand the new concept. We'll start with the new concept because we are going to add every feature, and then we are going to add that feature into the code also. For example, we discussed about how the ingestion layer, how the ingestion layer. So we took different types of files, right? And we loaded the data. So now the next thing is how we can do the, the transactional layer. So we discussed in the above, what is our transactional layer is Delta Lake, right? So your storage layer is Data Lake. So, and your transaction layer is Delta Lake. So what we do is we will start Delta Lake and we will integrate these features also into our code, and we will add this also after we load the data ingestion layer, and then we will take these Delta Lake features, and then next we'll go with the ETL pipelines. We'll play the engineering activities like this will come from the down to up level. So now we are coming this direction. So as part of this process, I would like to introduce today the
Okay.
Delta Lake concepts. So now you know what is data lake. So what is the data lake? Data lake is the one where we store our all the varieties of the data, right? And then you're going to integrate on top of that. Of course, we're going to integrate all the Delta Lake features, the capabilities. So how this is going to work? How this transaction? I said it's a transaction layer. What is the meaning of the transaction layer? So it means as part of the process, it is going to track all your transactions. So when I say transactions, it is going to take it everything like insert, update, delete is all transactions. So in Databricks, so we discussed data lakehouse. Data lakehouse is a specialized storage for storage frameworks, right? So
Hmm.
in this specialized storage frameworks, what is happening is it is going to enhance. So what is happening with this data lakehouse, the specialized framework? It is actually nothing but we have data lake is already there. So it is giving an enhancement to the data lake. So it's giving extra properties and everything. So coming to Delta Lake is nothing but it is a advanced feature on working on your data lakehouse platform. So this is working on top of your data lakehouse platform, your Delta Lake feature. So this is a powerful technical feature on working on your lakehouse platform. So we're going to discuss in this how this is going to work. Like we're going to see many concepts like about the time traveling, versionings. Like we're going to see many features step by step. Okay, first coming to Delta Lake. When you see in a big data, so the processing with the huge data, storing, processing, analytics is good to handle, but the transactional side, it is the way we got the issue. So that's the reason we got Delta Lake technology. So this is giving a solution to operate on your top of your data lake platforms to overcome the issues of what we have in data lake. Okay. So as we discussed, it is it is an open source storage layer, and it is going to add a transactional storage layer on top of data lake. So there is a data lake, right? There is a data lake we discussed. what Delta Lake is doing. Delta Lake, first thing is open source. It is open source. So anyone can consume this. So it's an open source storage layer. So this is bringing the reliability to data lakes by adding the transactional layer, or we can call transactional storage layer on top of your cloud storage. So this is like your cloud storage, nothing but. So when you say data lake house is nothing but whatever the storage layer is we are talking. So at the end of the day, where is your data? Your data is storing and managing by data lake only. So, but what it is doing, so this is nothing but all these delta lake or data lake house, it is nothing but it is serving as an intermediate platform, like which is like ingesting, querying, and processing of all your data. So, so which means remember, Delta Lake is not your actual storage layer. It is not a storage medium or it is not a storage format, right? So how we can load in Delta Lake, it's always in terms of like a Parquet formats, right? So only when you run the jobs on top of your data lake. This is a where is a physical storage. So this is a physical storage, um, right? So this is the way we can access, because while data lake is an excellent solution for storing your the huge amount of data, and because they face some issues about inconsistency and performance related to transactional asset property we discussed earlier. So that is a way we are using this Delta Lake feature. So this Delta Lake is, I can say, it's an innovation solution where it is overcoming all your data lake issues, and it provides all the transactional like manipulations and all the operations, like when you do the transactional operations, everything it is going to handle your process. And not only that, this Delta Lake is going to optimize your storage also of your data lake. How, like when you're integrating with the multi-cloud, like any, so we discussed, right? We can integrate with the cloud solutions. Um, so this data lake is nothing but we have in AWS, we have a S3 bucket. And so I'm keep on saying these things just to make sure that you remember. So we have AWS, and then same way we have in Azure, we have ADLS, data lake storage, and also we have a Google Cloud. So we have a Google Cloud bucket also is there. So all these are all integrated as like a data lakes. It works like a data lakes in the solution. And top of that, so here we have a transactional layer, which is Delta Lake. So this one. So Delta Lake, it's an open source library. It's just a library we are going to use as part of the job because the transactional layer, right? So it's going to work. So which means in overall, I can say, so we have a Delta Lake. So, and it is it's like a storage layer. So it's something serves as storage layer. And what is actually it is offering? It is offering all your transactional, nothing but ACID. So it's ACID guarantee. And then it is an open source framework. It's open source framework. And it is integrated. It's running on top of your 3 cloud storages. Anything, any cloud storage you can. You can integrate here. So like this. So this is Delta Lake is running on top of any this is the below cloud storages, any cloud storages, and it offers the asset guarantee. It serves as a storage layer, and it is actually an open source framework. Like this is going to work. So this is a high level, but when you go a bit in depth, how actually it is working? Who is actually helping Delta Lake to take care of this process? So I can say there is a one very important feature of Delta Lake is called Delta Lake transaction log. So that's the important concept. Delta Lake transaction log. So what it is? It is actually, as we discussed, so Delta Lake is just library, right? It's a library. So it is a library where we deploy this library on the Databricks cluster. This is a cluster we have where we are running on Databricks cluster. So whatever the data, when you create your Delta Lake table, what will happen when you create your Delta Lake table, it is actually creating like one or more Parquet files in the data lake storage, in your storage, nothing but in the cloud storage, let's call. So, but as I said, end of the day, Delta Lake is not storing anything. It stores only the required metadata information. So Delta Lake is actually going to create a transaction log. It will create a transaction log. It will on JSON format. This transaction log is actually a JSON format. So how it will work? Okay, for example, I'm creating a table in the Delta Lake. So let's say this is my Databricks cluster, right? So here I've just created one table called Delta Lake table. Okay, let me just create like a table. So this is my table, and this table actually you are creating where you're creating on the Delta Lake, right? Delta Lake only. At the end of the day, all my transactions are performing on Delta Lake in the cluster. But where this physically stored on your cloud storage, it depends upon which cloud vendor you connected, is going to store. On what format? It is storing as a backend as a files, like a Parquet files. And additionally, the main point is it is going to store your transaction log also. So it means every time, so you can see here on the every time, it is actually going, reading and writing here, the both directions. What it is doing, the Delta Lake transaction log, whatever we discussed this one, it is nothing but like a Delta log. This is nothing but, it is a Delta log. What is the meaning of Delta log? First of all, what is the meaning of Delta? Delta means it is nothing but it is doing a CDC, right? It is doing the
obviously it's a CDC.
Capturing. It is nothing but it is if any change comes, Delta means if any change comes, it is going to capture. Like is a insert, update, delete, whatever it is going to capture that change. That change is called Delta. So Delta log means it is capturing a log, whatever you are doing a change, either insert or update or delete, everything is capturing here. So the delta log transaction log, nothing but like this one, delta lake transaction log is actually referring to the delta log only. Like it is going to record every transaction performing on your table, every transaction, like the user. So at the coming end of the day, the user is working on the table, is going to keep on do the changes. So whatever he is doing the changes on the table, everything is capturing and maintaining by his transaction log. That's called delta log.
Okay.
It means as at the end of the day, what will happen is, so this is a source of truth. So this is a source of truth of what? Of your table's history, right? So this
Okay.
delta log is actually capturing all my table history. Like, okay, where is your data? What changes happen? Okay, what version, on what time it is changed, what record is updated, what record is inserted, what record is deleted. So it is capturing all the transaction log, means every transaction is capturing. This is nothing but it will know everything about your table from starting to until now, means it will know all the history of your table, which is a source of truth, means it is a single centralized log information for your table, right? So every time when the user query, okay, this user, for example, doing some transactional thing. So there is the other user is actually coming and then, he's reading a data, anything. So then what will happen? Whenever the user comes, the query the table, whenever he comes and query the table, what will happen? The table is not going go and get data directly. It is actually checking the log, transaction log.
Okay.
And then based on the transaction log, it will check what is the latest version, the most recent version of your data, and that is giving to the user, the table back. And then the user can access the data.
Okay.
So that is always. So for example, I have 100 versions of my data changes. So what is the latest version? 100th version is the
Yeah.
latest version.
Most recent version.
Yes, this is the most recent version of your data. So what will happen is here, it is going to capture the latest version of your change, and then it is giving. So now here, the concept is how this is internally working. You see everything practically. We're going to see everything practically. Before going to practical, we are discussing about today the introduction part, how this mechanism is working. It's a very beautiful mechanism. So it's a very easy way of capturing. It is not something we are using AI or any advanced technology. It's a basic sense. At the end of the day, when you are updating a table, there is some guy who is sitting and writing. Um, right? And then he know all the history, like how we call um, Chitragupta, right? The guy who will write all our things, what we are doing, all the things the same way. So there's a one guy who is here writing all the transaction log of the table. So the same way, right? So it is capturing all the data. Whenever you're doing any transaction, right? What will happen? It will commit a record in the transaction log first. So this transaction log will always a JSON format. It is always to the JSON format. This is so these files, this transaction log file contains all what type of the transactions you did, the insert,
Mhm.
update, delete, all the transactions, um, right? And so this log will capture all details.